You're listening to an archived Cabral Concept podcast. After listening to this show, check out the most up-to-date podcasts available at stephencabral.com/podcasts or search directly on iTunes. And now, welcome to the Cabral Concept, where board-certified naturopath and integrative health practitioner Dr. Stephen Cabral shares how he was diagnosed at the age of 17 with a life-altering illness and given no hope for recovery. It was only after studying and traveling all over the world did he discover how to combine ancient Ayurvedic healing practices with state-of-the-art naturopathic and functional medicine to fully rebalance the body and re-energize it with life. It's time to discover how to get well, lose weight, and finally feel alive again. And now, here's your host, Dr. Stephen Cabral.
Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the Cabral Concept. Great to be with you here today on the weekend edition of the Cabral Concept, where we call these our Cabral HouseCalls. It's my way of basically stepping into your house like an old school doctor would to just kind of sit down with you, listen to your story, listen to what's going on, and give you that first place to get started. So I'm excited about this. I really am. Each and every weekend, I never know the questions that come in. There's no prep time. There's no anything. It's as if you came in, you said, okay, here's my question, whether I'm live on stage speaking somewhere or giving a presentation, private group, or one-on-one consultation. And this is my chance to be able to try to give you that first place, that what's the thing that you may be missing, that you may not be looking at, and just give you another option, another viewpoint. So, always a lot of fun. If this is your first time tuning in, we answer questions about wellness, about weight loss, about anti-aging, about overall health coaching with the Integrative Health Practitioner Program, toxicity, mental and physical-based well-being, exercise, you name it. If it has to do with the human body, I do my best to help you. Anything else besides that, that's out of my realm of expertise, that's for sure. I'm not good at many other things, and many other people can vouch for that. But this is one thing that I've dedicated my life to, and I'm really excited to be able to just to share what I know with others. So let's get started. Right out of the gates, this question's coming in from Rosemary, and she writes in asking for help for all asking for help for all who have Dupuytren's contracture. It's a common problem that develops most frequently after the age of 40. It is common in men, more common in men than women. Both can be affected. Okay, I'm just going to kind of get right to it. I'm looking for something that's non-surgical that can help the hands get back into formation. All right, let me ad-lib this because it looks like it got a little jumbled. And so I apologize. Part of it's me, part of the question is just a little bit jumbled. You can read all questions, as always, at today's show notes. And today's show notes are over at stephencabral.com/1226. And you can see what I was fumbling over in terms of my wording there. So I don't actually know the pronunciation of this. It's called Dupuytren's contracture, but I know what it is. And so that's the thing, is like in conventional-based medicine, oftentimes you're given the doctor's last name is given to the, dis-ease of the body or whatever it might be. Well, again, in this case, I don't know the origin of how the name came about, but what I can tell you is that Dupuytren's, I'm just going to call it that. I'm sure it's the wrong pronunciation, and that's okay because the pronunciation doesn't really matter. But what we're looking at is essentially an overgrowth of the collagen formation in the fingers. That's how conventional medicine looks at it. However, there are other ways of looking at this. Okay, multiple ways. One, and I've seen this before, is it can actually stem from overuse injuries. So let's just say like you're playing tennis or you're always typing or whatever it might be. That spot is the weak spot of the person. And just like a bunion might happen on the foot from wearing really tight shoes and running a lot, again, more prevalent in women, this could happen with the hands. And it can be basically nonstop overgrowth of collagen or tightness of the fingers, which is causing them to curl, causing them to overlap, causing that cartilage to continue to grow. Now, we know all of it, no matter what, it is an inflammatory-based dis-ease of the body. So regardless of kind of looking at its etiology, where it comes from, etc., what matters is where does your inflammation lie? Because again, this happens to people typically in their later years. Well, I shouldn't say later years. I should say typically midlife. And here's the problem though. It doesn't strike at a particular time. It happens when you've overfilled your rain barrel, right? So my question is, what's going on inside your body that we don't know about? Gut-based issues, processed food, higher sensitivities to oxalates, to nightshades, to fructans with candida overgrowth or SIBO. So I don't know how to tell you, except because I know conventional medicine will say, okay, you want to do surgery. Now, first, you can actually start with stretching. That's the smartest thing to do. I would work with someone locally who's a muscular therapist that can work on stretching what are called the wrist and forearm flexors and the forearm extensors. I would work on strengthening imbalances within the forearm and hand muscles as well. I would look at acupuncture for the forearm and hand that it is affecting. But beyond that, I would also look at gut-based testing and heavy metal testing for what's going on. It could be higher levels of omega-6s to omega-3s. So maybe I'll mention this a couple times today, but the Big 5 Labs is without a doubt where to start because it's going to tell you what your underlying root cause is. So that's a great place to get started. I can't recommend enough. Remember, those labs aren't looking to diagnose disease. What we're looking to do is figure out what are the underlying root causes that give you the diagnosis of this disease. We'll go out fixing those. We'll empty that rain barrel. If nothing else, do a 21-day detox. If nothing else, at least start there. Again, I can't give you a diagnosis, treatment, cure. That's not what I'm here to do. I'm giving you the place to start that will allow you to rebalance your body, get to a healthy spot where a disease like this can't live in that body. It can't. It can't live in a healthy body. All right. Thank you for writing in, Rosemary. Carrie's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. What would you advise to support an 8-year-old who has rheumatic fever and is prescribed daily antibiotics till their 21st birthday? Interesting. Your advice is so appreciated. Let me just make sure I read this right. You want to support an 8-year-old who has rheumatic fever and has been prescribed now antibiotics until they're 21? So if my math is right, you're telling me that they're given a 13-year subscription or prescription for antibiotics? I've never heard of that. Don't get me wrong. I believe it. There's no doubt about that. I believe, every person that writes in, I had some crazy stuff done to me as well. Basically my options were I was going to be on Cortef and Florinef for the rest of my life. That's what I was given for Addison's disease and POTS. And if my type 2 diabetes got worse, I was going to be put on insulin. So don't get me wrong. I understand it. They were looking at biological drugs in my future for the autoimmune issues I had. So again, I get it. It's so strange, though, at 21 years old. I've never heard that. Like, why stop then? But those of you who don't know what rheumatic fever is, basically, it affects the heart, it affects the joints, it affects the brain. It can affect, so many different parts of the body. So we look at it definitely, in my opinion, as some type of bacterial-based infection. So a lot of times coming from strep-based bacteria or something else. Here's the nice thing. We know how to look at what this may be. So again, you might have to be on the antibiotics. I'm not saying that. And again, I would never tell you not to be on those antibiotics if it's life-saving, okay? But here's the thing. 13 years of an antibiotic and then stopping at 21. What happens at 21 years old that you don't need the antibiotics anymore? I'm just a little confused around the research on that. I've never read it, never heard of it, but interesting either way. Regardless, obviously, I wouldn't work on it that way. I would be on the antibiotics if it's life-saving, but then I would do this. I would get a 3-week period of time that maybe you're not on the antibiotics, and I would test then the stool test, and I would test the organic acids test. And I would look immediately for Clostridia-based bacteria, for E. coli, for H. pylori, for parasites, for Candida overgrowth. I would do the children's CBO-based protocol. I would then do the heal and seal for the gut. Now, there's at a children's-based dosage. I would work on removing the food sensitivities, and their child's going to be so much better off. I mean, they really are. So that's what I would do. I mean, really, that's what I would be looking at. I'd use a little bit of omega-3s for sure, the liquid omega-3, a half a teaspoon with a child. I'd be getting them on the greens-based powder. I'd be using a half a scoop to 1 scoop potentially of the daily nutritional support. I'd give them everything they need to make that body strong. But I don't know what's holding it back from fighting this rheumatic fever. But we can find out. Let's at least look at the gut. Let's at least start with what type of bacteria this is. Let's remove what we can find. And then let's repopulate the good, right? Let's start to get them then on that clean gut probiotic. Let's get them on the daily probiotic support. All right. So Carrie, I absolutely wish you the best. I want to help with this. Let us know how we can help. All right, Jason's up next. I'm wondering what you would recommend as a sunscreen that's not toxic to the body. I'm looking for something you can use multiple times a day with summer coming up. Thank you. Jason, great question. I'm actually not going to give you the full answer because this is one of those opportunities I can point you back to stevencabral.com/podcast. Let me see if I can pull up my internet window here. A little slow. I'm recording this actually while traveling to the great state of Texas. I'm here for about 36 hours. That's it. I fly in. I'm actually doing my recordings tonight. I'm in all-day speaking meetings tomorrow, and then I fly out very early Friday morning to meet back up with my family. Excited about that. So let's see if I can find this for you, Jason. And I'm just going to type in literally sunscreen because there's multiple podcasts I did. And in the Rain Barrel Effect, I gave you my favorite brands, and I gave you a private page for people that read the Rain Barrel Effect of where to find all my recommendations. Okay, so let me give it to you just straight out of the gates. Okay, let's find it. Natural Sunscreen Recipe, episode 540. 511 is another one on natural sunscreens. And then 546 has the actual recipe for the suntan lotion. If I point you to one episode, let's see if I can give you one good one. No, 546 gives you the recipe where you can make your own. And then I was going to try to make this so that you'd have to look back. I'm just going to give you it. So here's the thing. I gave you a bunch of options, again, with the Rain Barrel Effect. But 546 gives you how to make your own. And then I want to give you... Okay, there it is right there. It is episode 511. And I'll just give it to you. There's a great one called Badger Sunscreen. They use the non-nanoparticle zinc oxide, which you need in there. And then you can add in other products as well that I talk about on episode 546, such as anything that has natural-based sunscreen in there. And again, I talk about those. Episode 546, Badger Sunscreen, I link up on episode 511. All right, there are other brands out there, but it's an easy one, and you can go with that. And again, the Rain Barrel Effect, I give a bunch of those as well. Aston's up next. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I know you like to talk about doing things that support the body's natural detox processes. Even with a good diet of mainly plant-based foods with some fish and good exercise of Pilates and yoga, I wake up sometimes feeling bloated and puffy. I have been into using jade rollers, dry brushing, and foam rolling to help out my lymphatic system, and it does seem to help a bit. I was wondering if there was a way to prevent the puffiness and what your thoughts are on these trendy tools. Thanks. Yeah, so great question, Aston. I've actually never gotten to speak about jade rollers before. So jade rollers have been around forever. I first found out about them when I was at a traditional Chinese medicine hospital where I interned in old Beijing. The doctor that I was directly under was Dr. Sun Yi, amazing doctor, very young and just, passionate guy, pretty amazing. I literally was on his hip for 12 hours a day over there and a great, great doctor. So what did I learn about it? Well, here's what I learned is that jade, very powerful in general and healing as a stone for the body, can be used to move that lymphatic system. We used it in a way that was called gua sha. And gua sha, we used two principles, gua sha and bagua. And it allowed us to basically move the circulation, move the lymph. Similar to dry brushing, but with a little bit more force because it can actually redistribute the fascia, realign the fascia. That's a better way of saying it. And fascia is basically the connective tissue around your muscles as well. So it's a little bit stronger. It does more than just move the lymph. It actually works on the collagen and deeper tissues of the body. So that's the difference between that and dry brushing, or that and the abhyanga, which is like the self-massage that you can use with sesame oil in Ayurveda. So it's great. It's making a comeback like at Rediscovery because they're using a lot for facial-based rolling. So that's fine and that's good. But here's the thing. That's not going to help you because yours comes from bloating. So what we're looking at is what's going on with your gut. Because most likely you have intestinal permeability. And the reason is that it sounds like your lymphatic system is filling up on a daily basis, literally a daily basis. So you're probably eating really good foods. The problem is you're spilling proteins and bacteria and potentially yeast into your bloodstream or your lymphatic system, the gut-associated lymphoid tissue, which is clogging up your lymphatic system because your lymphatic system is literally a one-way street. And if it's blocked up, it keeps the chambers closed, basically the locks closed, like on an ocean or a lake. It closes those so it doesn't let more through. So what I want you to do is keep on keeping on with your Epsom salt baths, your saunas, your dry brushing, your foam rolling, your jade rolling. Love all of that, but what we need to do is seal up that gut. And then we need to do a functional medicine detox to help your liver out. So if it was if I was working with you directly, I would do this. Okay, I'd say, we're going to do the organic acids test. We're going to do the stool test. And then if you're able to, we're going to do the food sensitivity test in that order. Okay, then after you run those labs, you're going to do a 21-day detox and you're going to keep your other detoxing going that we just talked about. Then after that, you'll get your labs back. We'll do whatever we need to basically remove what's overgrown, the H. pylori, parasites, candida, bacterial overgrowth, or we'll seal up the gut if that's all that needs to be done. We'll remove the food sensitivities if that's all that needs to be done. and you'll be feeling much better. And then that will allow you to once and for all drain the lymph system, and then it won't keep clogging back up. So again, I love what you're doing at a surface level, literally a surface level, but I want to work at a deeper level. What's causing the lymphatic system to back up on a daily basis? Let's work on the why, the underlying, and keep working on the external as well. All right? That's a really good example of how we like to work on where it's short-term as well as long-term. Short-term, keep on keeping on what you're doing. Long-term, let's figure out what the underlying root cause is. All right? Same with our friend Kerry earlier. Short-term, if you have to use the antibiotics, you use the antibiotics. Long-term, what is causing this rheumatic fever? What's causing this lowered immune system? All right, Katie's up next. And then again, I always go back and forth, but that's the way that I am. So this is truly how I believe integrative medicine should work. You want to use the best of everything. You want to integrate all practices. I mean, already today, not on purpose, I'm talking about traditional Chinese medicine. I'm talking about herbalism. I'm talking about functional medicine detox. I'm talking about Ayurveda. I'm talking about manual, lymph drainage. So we're hitting everything, right? We're hitting everything in one podcast. And that's why I tell you there's no one best form of medicine. And that's why it's dangerous if a practitioner is saying, oh, well, all I have is this hammer, so everything looks like a nail, right? And that's conventional medicine for sure. All I have is these antibiotics, so it's all I can give you, right? Or these pharmaceuticals. Well, it's kind of the same thing. And again, I love acupuncture. Don't get me wrong. If all you can give someone is acupuncture, it's not the total picture. It's not the total picture. And again, I love acupuncture and I recommend it all the time. So please don't hate on me for that. But what I'm saying is an acupuncturist, in my opinion, would work great in conjunction with an integrative health practitioner, a naturopathic doctor, etc., so that they could work on the meridians and they can work on opening up certain channels in the body. They can work on relaxing the autonomic nervous system, like so many great things. But then we can also work with the specific detoxification protocols, functional medicine labs, etc. All right. So again, in my opinion, there's room for everyone, right? All right. Katie's up next. Very long question, so we're going to give you the gist of it, and then you can read her question over at stephencabral.com/1226 for today. Hi, Dr. Cabral. I heard all your podcasts focused on estrogen dominance and your recommendations, but I was wondering if you could talk about low estrogen in women who are too young to be going through menopause. Do you see this a lot in your practice? I've had extensive hormone testing done from both conventional endocrinologists and integrative practitioners, and my estrogen levels are consistently low. All right, so she goes on to just talk about her specific symptoms and what she's doing right now, and then just basically asking, what are my thoughts on that? Okay, so here's the thing. I've seen consistently low levels of estrogen in women that are too young to have low estrogen. So yes, it's much more rare, but absolutely we see it because I don't, again, this is not like bragging or anything. It's really not. Anyone would reach this point. It's just we've worked with so many people. That's it. It's just like if you've done your job for 20 years or so, you've probably seen everything in your line of work. And again, it's just the same, with me. And I oversee a team, so I'm able to see more because I read everyone's lab that's run through Equilibrium Nutrition. So it's not just my people I work with. I oversee a larger practice. So, the thing is too, and I know that you talked about, there's some emotional issues and you have, issues with PCOS and digestive issues. So here's the thing. When you have lower levels of estrogen, I've seen it from two main reasons. One, you were on birth control for many years and it lowered the body's production of estrogen. One possibility, okay? The second big one is this, exhaustion stage of stress. I talk about this in the Integrative Health Practitioner Program Level 2. Here's what we go through. We go through the 7 stages of HPA dysfunction, or some people call adrenal-based fatigue. So as you're going through the different stages, basically, I'm not going to talk about cortisol here because cortisol is stress hormone, but we get a lowering of DHEA. And then in women, we also see a lowering of progesterone. And then we see the lowering of testosterone, and about the same time, we see the lowering of estrogen. And that's very, very common that we see in women. So what happens is we end up with just depleted hormones. A lot of times you'll see your DHEA low and your estrogen low. So what we do is this, we figure out what is going on with the body, what is the stressor, or was the stressor just many years ago and you never recovered? That's sometimes it. Like I healed what I felt, my mind and body, but it took my body a while to catch up in terms of rejuvenation. Because I had to fix the central nervous system, I had to fix gut issues. So you have to work that same process. And what I want you to do is I want to make sure that your gut's cleaned up so that you're properly absorbing all of your nutrients. I want to make sure that your liver is working really well so it can process estrogens properly. A lot of people look past the liver. So I want to make sure that's correct. And then what I would like to do is if you have really low levels of DHEA, lower levels of testosterone, lower levels of estrogen, we'll actually use a really clean product of DHEA. It's not expensive. It lasts a long time. And we simply start with 5 milligrams in the AM and 5 milligrams in the PM. You can find that at Equilibrium Nutrition. It's totally up to you. Just get a functional medicine-based brand of DHEA. Make sure you're using the right type. And you don't want to overdo it either. You want to start smaller. What this does is it doesn't give you estrogen per se, but I love using a product like this, not all the time, but sometimes to kickstart the body. And here's why. DHEA flows downhill. It doesn't flow uphill. So when you put DHEA in someone's body, your body then gets to decide, what should I do with it? Should I make androstenediol? Should I make androstenediol? Androstenedione? Should I make androstenediol? Should I make testosterone? Should I make estradiol? Estriol? Estrone? What should I do with it? Or should I allow then for more progesterone to be made because now there's more on what we call the left side of the chart, right? The cortisol and progesterone. So it can be a very powerful product. We don't use it long-term for younger people. Typically, anyone perimenopause or premenopause, we're just not going to use DHEA for more than about 12 to 16 weeks, and then we just taper off. So that's what I recommend, but you really need to be working with a practitioner. Again, work with someone that you feel is qualified, that you've worked with, that we need to see the labs. I can't give you recommendations over a podcast. I wish that I could, but I need lab data. I mean, everything is based on your data. And then what we do is we put you on a protocol that's going to calm your central nervous system. We'll be using something maybe like the deep sleep protocol, the ultimate deep sleep protocol with adrenal soothe to calm the adrenals at night. We'll wake them back up in the morning. We'll, nourish the body. We'll do detoxes. We'll fix the gut, whatever needs to be done. It's a full plan, right? And then what we do is we'll retest those hormones at about 8 weeks later after being on this protocol. And then we'll make sure we're at the right dosage and everything's moving in the right direction. Then we'll either increase or decrease dosage. And we'll keep going from there till we get it perfect. And that's how true, again, I know people want the silver bullet. I wanted the silver bullet. I get it. Don't get me wrong. But real natural health, real natural medicine comes with adjusting what's needed with the body and also based on where you're at in life, right? So really important way to look at it. All right, that was a big question. I know I could probably get in one more. What I want to do is keep it at that for today because there's so many more questions to come. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in. And I'm looking forward. I'm actually going to record the next one right now. I'm going to dive right into these questions. Hopefully, you're enjoying your weekend, and I will talk with you soon. Take care. Are you ready to heal yourself and then go on to heal others? If so, the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute can help you discover proven functional medicine protocols that blend the best of 7 different healing disciplines from around the world. I personally share with you the exact handouts and protocols I use in my private practice that enable people to get well, lose the weight, and live longer, stronger. I want to pass this information on to the next generation of health coaches, and that is exactly why I created IHP. We are the future of the health coaching industry, and the skills and knowledge you will learn will make you an in-demand certified health coach anywhere in the world. Although we have many medical professionals taking the IHP certifications, no experience is necessary, and half our members have no previous health certifications. At the Integrative Health Practitioner Institute, our motto is a health coach in every home. Our goal is that you take this knowledge and then share it with family, friends, loved ones, your community, or in a practice where you create a career you love and can be proud of. The global IHP community is filled with some of the most kind and caring people in the world, and we can't wait to welcome you into our world soon. For more information or to set up a discovery call with one of our IHP Health Coach graduates, simply head over to integrativehealthpractitioner.org.